That's uber disco jazzy. I'm liking it. It's a little different.
It's new.
It's new. It feels a little newer.
It is new.
Greetings, everybody. Monkey Business yet again. Here we are, the group from Flower City Comic-Con. Is myself, Chris. Again, as always in the studio, Billy, Tanya, Tony,
Hello.
and Wayne. And on the phone, the lovely as ever, Sybil.
Hi.
You all right over there, Sybil? I can't hear you, honey. Is
Really?
it maybe? I think we have a bad phone connection.
Hold on. Let me go into the other room.
See what you can go. Yeah, go into the other room real quick because I can't
go
hear
to
you
the
as well
room.
today. I think it's just technical stuff
right.
going on.
Is that a little bit better?
It's a little better.
Yeah.
A little better.
You can hear me? Okay.
I don't know.
It's
It's
weird.
echoey.
It's like double.
It's
Echoing.
It's echoing, yeah.
It's echoing. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
How about now?
Is
that better?
That's
much better?
Boy, it sounds like you're sitting right next to me.
Turn your head a little to the right.
Oh my God, you are sitting next to me.
Yeah.
Special effects on the
Special
radio.
effects. That's
Wow,
amazing.
she got from Pittsburgh all the way into the studios today.
In the course of a 30-second phone call.
It must have been a TARDIS that got her here.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sybil.
Chris.
She's here. This is amazing. Yay. It's a happy holiday already. The whole gang is here at this point. Now, our usual Deanna, she's off rooting for Pittsburgh, and because she does that every Sunday. And all of our other interns and crew, they're off in their beds dreaming of sugar plums.
Is she actually in Buffalo at the game?
I don't know if she's actually
believe
there.
so.
I don't think
okay.
so. Deanna has her own little her sports kind of main command thing where she basically has like screens and she just watches everything over the course of the day.
Nice.
And she listens to
the radio
I
and
think
podcasts.
the Pittsburgh
and-
announcers
Yeah.
for the.
She's
That's
a
how she did
diehard.
when we went
She's
down
really-
for the
she's-
Niners Steelers game. She was
She's more
listening to her
dedicated
radio.
to Pittsburgh sports than I am to Doctor Who. It's kind of scary.
I think
So-
she's more dedicated than people who live in Pittsburgh.
This is
so-
true. I think if you give her a chance, she would actually live in Pittsburgh. So here we are.
That commute would be hard.
If she could move there, she probably would.
Billy, Tanya, Tony, Sybil, myself, Chris, and Wayne.
Yep.
We're all in studio today. And today's main topic of Monkey Business, Wayne tasked me the other day. He said, Chris, we want to hear what you think are your top 5 favorite Star Wars. There we go. Star Wars movies.
5?
Top 5 Star Wars movies.
Wait, there's only 7.
We know which one's not on the list.
Yeah. There we go. I think a couple podcasts ago we cleared that one. My top 5 favorite sci-fi movies of all time. I had a hard time compiling just 5, so I have a top 10 with a bunch of honorable mentions on another page. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to bring up my top 10 favorite sci-fi movies of all time.
We're counting down, right?
We're going to count down, so 10th to first place. And I think I've already given you a hint on what's on the list.
Honorable mentions in between second and first?
You know what? I'm going to throw some honorable mentions probably along the way as I go. But yeah, second and first we'll throw some in. And then after I'll throw a few in there just kind of so people know I was thinking about some movies.
Awesome.
I in no way, shape, or form am an expert in this. I'm just going off of basically what I remember and what I've seen and what I really enjoyed. So right off the bat, number 10, Mad Max. And I'm talking the original Mel Gibson from 1979, not the Tom Hardy version that came out recently, which I will say was good. I enjoyed it, but it didn't have that same kind of impact that Mel Gibson's movie did way back in '79.
The new one critics loved, and I mean loved, and I didn't.
I don't understand why.
I didn't love it that much.
No, I didn't.
Well,
love it.
the reason why was because of practical effects. The cinematography was absolutely fantastic on it. I feel like the story could have used a little oomph.
A little more to it.
It was, hey, let's go here. Now let's go back.
Yeah. And that was weird. But in the first one, and for me, and I know there's probably a lot of movies that kind of set the standard even before that or around that, but for me, in 1979, I was 9 years old, and I saw Mad Max the first time when I think it was like 11 or 12. So it had been out for a couple of years at that point. But for me, it was the first time really experiencing somebody's post-apocalypse vision. So seeing the world turned on its ear. So it was the future, but it wasn't so far into the future. You could still touch the technology and feel it, but it had that twist where everything had gone horribly wrong, and you're watching this guy as he's just going through this thing and just dealing with one situation after another just to get from point A to point B. And so for a young, impressionable guy who was just, I had Star Wars and I had Star Trek and all that stuff, but to hear and there's Star Trek is wonderful for its its hopeful vision of the future, and that's what you get into. The good guys are going to win, and the spaceships are going to be nice and clean and whatnot. And then all of a sudden you have Mad Max, and you know the future is not that clean, and it's not that perfect, and it's not that pretty, and it could go very, very wrong. And so it was cool kind of to see that juxtaposition, that story. So that's my number 10 is Mad Max 1979.
Okay. Works for me.
All right.
Now, wasn't the second one, the sequel, more widely regarded?
Well, here's the thing: is that it was Mad Max and then Road Warrior?
Yes.
Yes,
And I keep thinking of Thunderdome.
and Thunderdome was the
Yeah, that's
third.
the one I was getting
Two men
confused.
enter, one
When man leaves, Master Blaster.
And Tina Turner in a
Yes.
big wig.
Oh my God, Tina Turner and
That's
a
the one I
huge
remember.
wig. Yeah, and we don't need another hero. So yeah, Mad Max.
Sorry.
And then Road. Was it? Is it the Road Warrior and then Mad Max, or Mad Max and then the Road Warrior?
Oh my goodness.
No, it was Mad Max, then Road Warrior.
Road Warrior. Okay.
Road Warrior Hawk or Road Warrior Animal.
Wasn't
Thank
it
you.
like the majority of
Thank
it
you,
filmed in
Wayne.
like
I
Australia?
Yeah, all three of them were in Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a wrestling fan, I appreciated Wayne's reference just then.
I caught it. I caught it. All right, number
What
9.
a rush.
We're ready for number 9.
Yes.
I'm going into the archives on number 9. THX 1138.
That's just
We have that.
That's a fan movie.
That's-
that was
so?
Lucas's first I'm gonna make a movie in college, and this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And it's
We
like,
actually have that at home.
But it's got Robert Duvall in it. Come on.
yeah,
I don't even know if I've seen it.
it's kind of hard to watch.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen it. I think I've heard of it once or twice,
It-
but I've
it's
never had
clunky.
the
It's
desire
kind
to
of like
watch.
Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. And it really has the feel of. It really does
Where
have
we're
a feel
going
of a
now.
college student who's walking around campus with a Super 8 movie camera, just trying to get a project
Yeah.
done for class. But for me, again, this is my list. So I remember Mad Max had this facet of kind of opening up an imagination for it. But I saw I'd heard of THX 1138 on several occasions. I finally watched it in a film class when I was in college at Fisher.
Yeah,
And-
that's
and-
usually the only place you see it.
Well, yeah, that's it exactly.
Or in my living room.
And it was
it.
hard to watch, and there was a lot of times where it was unintentionally funny, but it was like, okay, this is the guy who created Star Wars did this. And so for me, it captured the imagination. It showed me that I was able to create too, because if he could go from point A to point B, then me as I wanted to write stories and make films and whatnot. It's always been a kind of a secondary dream of mine. So that was kind of that inspiration.
What was
Go ahead.
Spielberg's one with the car?
Spiel-
Oh, Duel.
Duel.
That's
Yes.
I love Duel.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever
The
seen it.
car that hunted him down.
Yeah, Dennis
no, it was
Weaver.
A truck. It was a truck.
It was a
hunting
truck.
him down.
Dennis Weaver is a motorist just on the road and winds up with a truck behind him who just decides to F with him.
Oh, okay.
And it's truly terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, I've heard of
It's
this. I
pretty
haven't
much a
seen it,
one-man
though.
show with Dennis Weaver and the truck.
And a truck.
Yeah.
And that was like one of
For an hour and a half.
Spielberg's early movie too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Tanya, right now, are we getting... Oh, Brian has arrived.
Oh.
Brian is in studio today. Congratulations, Mr. Burke. Good to see you. How you holding up?
Well, I'm all right.
Brian's in one piece, sort of.
Let's see. You want to sit over in captain's seat over there, Brian?
Look at that.
I'll risk it.
You'll risk it. We were talking about my top 10 favorite science fiction movies of all time.
Now, has there been another movie that's similar to the THX 1138 where there's mandatory medicine given and then people are starting to
I'm sure
not
that's a trope.
take it?
Brave New World.
Brave New World comes
with,
to mind.
the Soma.
I can't remember.
That's a trope that's kind of popular now in a lot of movies, that they do that sort of manipulation thing.
Big Brother is always watching.
Exactly.
Now, Chris,
Yes, sir.
do you
1984.
actually like this movie? I haven't seen it, but I've heard from the consensus that maybe it's not a great movie. Do you just like it, or is it a nostalgic sort of?
It's a nostalgic thing for me.
Okay.
It's a lot of these movies may not be excessively high quality movies that I think are Oscar worthy or just definitive. But for me, there's a lot of nostalgia. I became a geek for a reason. It wasn't just like a whimsical thing. I was influenced by a lot of these movies and TV series that I saw that kind of spurred the imagination and got me to thinking about stuff like this and pulled me away from just pure action movies or rom-coms, as Weez was talking about, and or slapstick comedies. I move away from those movies. I gravitate towards these movies because this is how I feel. This is what I think. This is how I really enjoy to express the imagination and whatnot. So I fully admit that some of the movies on this list are probably not amazing 5-star movies, but they're ones that mean something to me on top of
Like THX 1138.
like THX 1138. They're not not known for being $1 million blockbusters. Brian, just to catch you up, number 10, the original Mad Max with Mel Gibson. Number 9, THX 1138, the George Lucas college fan film, and now we're on to number 8.
Okay.
The Fifth Element.
No, that one.
You knew that was
Love this movie.
That's only number 8?
Well, that was hard. Well, I worked on this list for a good couple of hours because it was hard for me to. I wrote the first draft of the list, and then I realized, I missed this movie. Oh, wait, no, I love this movie. What about this movie? And so,
And the reason why for this one?
The Fifth Element, there's something about the visuals, and of course, Mila Jovovich. I'm not going to lie.
You do know that was taken from Heavy Metal, right?
Yes, I do know that was definitely an influence of that. And Heavy Metal is in my honorary mentions list.
Well, I mean, outside of the movie Heavy Metal, the Heavy Metal magazine that came out, because it was who was it? I can't remember his name now. The artist will pop into my mind in a minute. And,
probably after we're done talking about it.
Yeah, and he did a whole bunch of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. But Fifth Element is one of those movies that when I start watching, it doesn't matter where I find it. If I'm channel searching it, I
stop and watch it.
And watch the rest of it.
I have a multi-pass.
She does. It's
I
true.
do.
I've seen it. Yeah. But there's just something about that movie that just attracts my attention every single time. The quotes, the characters. Chris Tucker is the first time I'd ever seen Chris Tucker in action, and I can't get Ruby Rhod out of my head because it's so just obnoxiously hilarious.
Like you're flipping through the channels and this hits, and it's like you have to stop.
Yeah, yeah, and Ian Holm being in it, and of course Bruce Willis, Mila Jovovich, and Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman is just so amazing at playing unhinged.
Yes.
And when they give him a vehicle where he's supposed to be unhinged, it just basically takes Gary Oldman off the leash.
Except for Lost in Space.
Well, Lost in Space, I'm not talking about that one. That's not even on the honorable mention list.
No.
These are the top 10.
All right. Number 7, Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Excellent movie.
Mashed potatoes.
Mm-hmm. Mashed potatoes. Devil's Tower.
Yep.
With I can see his face. I can't suddenly think of his name. Richard Dreyfuss.
Dreyfuss, yeah.
And
Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. And but it's one of those quintessential. Science fiction was being awakened as more of a mainstream thing in the 70s. Star Wars kind of had a lot to do with it, but then there was a lot of other things. And Close Encounters just kind of ripped open the coffin instead of putting a nail in it. This is putting it right in your face. That final scene when the mothership shows up and all of the aliens start coming out to greet, and it was just really cool thing. And for a kid, I was 9 years old or 7. Again, it was the same year as Star Wars, 77. When you see this on the screen, your eyes are wide, and it's going to make an impression. And that was a lot of fun for me.
I think since I was 5, it's harder for me to remember. I remember seeing it, but I can just remember seeing like the mountain at the end. Mm-hmm. That's about all I can remember.
Well, yeah, that's about where I am.
Yeah. Well, you're much younger than I am.
Oh yeah, I saw it when I was like 5, and I remember seeing I can picture the spaceship coming down and all the aliens starting to walk out, but that's about it.
Okay.
You see, and I just remember mashed potatoes.
Well, for me, it was also
mashed potatoes are yummy.
It was the journey of the characters and how, as they were getting closer to this mountain where the event was going to take place, where the meeting was going to take place, how people who'd never met before, who'd never experienced each other before, were all coming together, and they had this shared, the shared calling, the shared vision of this mountain, so they could be there in time to meet the other worlders.
It's like the people who show up at Area 51 all the time.
Yeah.
Or Roswell all the time.
All right, so that's it. So
that was
far,
7.
That was 7. Number 6, The Time Machine, the 2002 Guy Pearce version.
Come on, that's crap.
I don't even know what that is. Well, I know what crap is, but I don't know what the time machine is.
Yeah,
well,
I don't remember.
It's based on H.G. Wells.
I know this one.
It's based on H.G. Wells' book, and the original one from the 60s.
The Rod Taylor one.
Rod Taylor one.
Yvette Mimieux is vastly superior to that.
And that's your opinion. That's fine.
It's got the time machine. Mm-hmm. They did a different one in 1979, 1980, where the guy was riding a bicycle.
Oh, that was terrible.
It was really bad.
Well, for me, this one, I'm going to attribute a lot of it, and like you said at the beginning of the podcast, a lot of this is nostalgia for me as well. So it's not just
2002,
the 2002 version.
I have it up here. Where would you go?
And it's the vibe and the feeling.
To 1957 to the good one.
For me, a lot of it was
I
like
just want a
was the
doctor. Come
soundtrack
on.
and the visuals. It was the soundtrack and the visuals for me. That really kind of I always enjoyed watching that particular movie, and I think there was some subtle messages involved with the way that the story was told, and any chance to see Mark Addy even in a cameo version, I think it's a kick. Sorry. So I'm gonna get hit for number 6. That's it.
Well,
That's
if it's
fine.
Phantom Menace, you're definitely going to get hit for.
Well, no, I mean number 6 was the Time Machine with Guy Pearce.
Oh.
And no, Phantom Menace is nowhere. It's not even on the honorable
That
mentions
shouldn't
list.
be on anyone's list.
No, it's
No,
not.
we keep firing interns for that one.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right.
As the intern speaks.
Is the intern speak? All right, number 5, Bicentennial Man, 1999, with Robin Williams.
Yes, excellent.
movie.
Love
movie.
that movie. I mean, just
The
just
short story
Exactly.
by Asimov was great.
Anything with Robin Williams.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of Robin Williams movies that when he played the creepy photo booth guy.
Well, World's Greatest
I like
Dad.
that
That's
movie.
a
Yeah.
weird one too.
Wild Hogs with John Travolta and,
That
and
was
Tim
come
Allen.
on, that's funny.
No,
funny.
that was not funny for me. It was.
Why?
It
Because
was.
you're getting up to that
Shut up.
age?
Shut up.
middle age range.
Let me drink my girly drink. Shut up. All right. Anyway, but no, Bicentennial Man. I think just science fiction and a commentary on the human condition. I think it's just so. It's when sci-fi is at its best is when it's commenting on how we look at the world and how some are hopeful and some are not, and how science fiction kind of opens the imagination to possibility and wonder. And just Bicentennial Man, it's a longer movie. And it's not a fast pace because it's not an action movie. It's a commentary all the way through, and just I enjoy the hell out of that one.
And
Nice and meta.
And it's also like a civil rights movie because it's dealing with artificial intelligences getting rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because in the end, he wanted to marry his like because he was the nanny for the guys. Which
Right.
is also back to
It ended up being his first owner's granddaughter or
Yes.
great granddaughter.
Yes.
That he falls in love with, and so we move on to number 4. In my mind, one of the quintessential classic science fiction movies, 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
Stanley
Yep.
Kubrick.
It is a classic movie, but I can't. I fall asleep. It is the movie that if I have insomnia, I pop it in and I'm just out.
Well, it's because it's not meant to, I don't know, blow your mind in terms of like Die Hard, blow you through the back of the seat kind of action. It's the thinking. It's just so little dialogue. It's all visuals and the music, and it's that surreal kind of exposure to imagination.
What are you doing, Chris?
I can't do that, Dave. And listening to Daisy,
Yeah, no.
give me your okay.
I don't even think I've seen it.
The Eastman is doing on the 19th of January is doing a special showing of it with Keir Dullea.
That's right. I thought there was something coming
that'd be
up
cool.
with it. Yeah.
See, I know things.
That's why we love you so much, man. Seriously,
why
there's
we bring you
tons
here.
of respect to having Wayne on board for that. All right, now to balance out the thinky 2001: A Space Odyssey is number 3, Alien, which is more of a
can't
horror movie. Really.
I was going to say, I
It's more
agree.
of a horror
not really
movie.
sci-fi. It is
No.
more
But
horror.
it
happens
But
in
it's
space.
It's in
so
space.
like space horror.
Yeah,
I think
but
sci-fi and horror can
It's horror and
intermingle.
sci-fi,
Oh, yeah.
according to IMDb.
but and I'm gonna just.
But the second one was better.
I'm gonna and that's the point I wanted to make.
The second one
A
was
couple
way
of
better.
these
I can't
Space
do it.
Marines.
a couple of these entries, number 3, Alien, and the number 1, which we'll get into in a moment, are basically representatives of an entire franchise. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm putting a whole ton of movies into one spot on a couple of occasions. Because Aliens, the sequel,
Yes.
is commonly felt to be one of the best sci-fi action movies ever. And I'm cool with that. Because, Space Marines and xenomorphs and the one-liners and the interaction between, corporate greed and just trying to survive and all that, there's tons of it. And so Alien itself can be considered basically a horror movie, but set in space. But that, I think just, again, this is a mantra that I've had almost the entire podcast so far. It's the imagination of it. It's the introduction to something you have not seen before. And the Alien was done in '79. So again, it was on that upsurge of sci-fi is more than just the B-movie serials that you got as a kid. It's more than just the Saturday morning cartoons. Here we're going to start telling you some bigger, huge, these complex stories on these amazing things, and we're going to start pushing your imagination a little bit further. I thought it was great, and for the longest time, in recent movies they've kind of started clearing that up, and I'm sad that they did a little bit. But when an alien, they're on the planet for the first time, and they're doing the survey of, they see the ship, and here's this alien, this husk of a mummy of an alien, this huge thing, and then you meet the xenomorphs. Now, the xenomorph itself could just basically be an evolved animal, and they're ignoring the fact that here's this massive spaceship and this massive extraterrestrial, and this is our first time ever seeing. But more importantly, look at the eggs. Let's look at the creature that's about to eat our faces off.
Eggs were portable.
They missed it, and I don't think they did it intentionally, but they bypassed the whole. There is life out there. There are sentient creatures out there that are more than just animals. They can fly spaceships and whatnot.
That wasn't the point of the movie.
Exactly.
The point of the movie was a face hugger that
That's
comes
it.
out of
No,
you.
but that was so cool how they kind of presented it, and as it's part of the thing, and there was a bigger picture, and they kind of ignored,
like in
but in an
Aliens,
intentional
you
way.
had the Marines coming out. Oh, it's another bug hunt, sir.
Yeah,
It's just
they were kind of
another
used to it at that point.
For some reason, when I think of aliens, my mind immediately goes to that scene in Spaceballs where the xenomorph pops out of the stomach and hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime
and John
gal."
Hurt's and John Hurt's pained. Oh, not again. And so that's Alien number 3. Number 2, Blade Runner.
Woo-hoo!
Okay.
That one I've actually seen.
Androids dream of
Electric sheep. And somebody
They cut out a whole lot of the book.
somebody took me to task on it. I was discussing it with a couple of friends of mine on Facebook last night, and I said, I'm going to put Blade Runner up there, and they're like, okay, voiceover or no voiceover?
No voiceover.
And that's what I'm hearing. The popular consensus is no voiceover.
Aren't they redoing it?
Yeah.
It's
they're
a
doing
sequel. Finally doing a sequel after almost 40 years at
They
this
don't
point.
need to do a sequel.
I know they don't need to, but Hollywood's out of ideas, so they're always going to be doing stuff like that.
There's tons of books and stuff
know.
coming out every.
I know.
And it's like, just pick one of them.
And I think that's a good comment to have for a future podcast. We can talk about how Hollywood is pretty much out of ideas and how
They just want to recycle what's.
They want to recycle
What's
what
popular,
works.
what worked.
Because
Yeah.
it's-
We know this
get
one
into
makes
why-
money, so we'll do it again.
BBC does so much better with their programming than American television.
Oh yeah,
because
we've hinted
yeah.
that on a couple of
retread here.
occasions.
Oy.
Yeah, I know
They're willing to take risks.
they're they're willing and they
And also, they don't care. Their BBC is like public funded, whereas everything here is commercial.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they don't have to depend on week to week, is my show going to be canceled or not. That is definitely a help. But the chances they take in a lot of cases do work out. But that is another topic for another.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is a good
and we
topic.
can go in a long time in that. All right, so number 10, Mad Max. Number 9, THX 1138. Number 8, Fifth Element. Number 7, Close Encounters. Number 6, Time Machine, apparently the wrong version. Number 5, Bicentennial Man. Number 4, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Number 3, Alien. Number 2, Blade Runner. And on Tony's suggestion, I'm going to wander on to my, before I mention number 1, which...
Well, if number one isn't what I think it is, then there's going to be a
but,
major
like,
problem.
I was counting
Oh, yeah.
off of your top 9. I've only seen 3 of those top 9.
See, and that's a great thing. I've given you some homework, haven't I?
No.
My own little- no,
No,
yeah, come on,
no.
say yes.
Not with the
Probably
response
not.
on
Go
some
watch
of them.
that THX 1138.
I have that one at home, but that
See, that one I
I'd
have to
probably
watch.
be watching. But it's like, I think I've seen bits and pieces of the Alien series, and I'm just like, I'm not
You know what?
a horror person, so therefore
for Alien, you can watch the first 2 and be fine.
Yeah,
okay.
after
I had
two,
issues at
it's-
Universal Soldier, and that's just with the blood and guts and gore and
Yeah.
things like that.
That's
So
the one with
Jean-Claude
John
Van
Claude.
Damme,
So therefore, I watch most of the movie like this. So
with their hands over her eyes.
So I don't see
Aliens.
doing-
You'd be watching them like that.
Yeah,
'Cause
behind-
yeah,
you
that's
hide
I know.
behind the
I've
couch.
seen. That's why I'm like.
And it's they're always hunting for that cat. Let's go get the cat.
The damn
No,
cat.
leave
At
that
this
cat.
point, I know it's a cheesy movie and people groan in it. I'd rather watch Starship Troopers about 10 more times versus Alien.
Would you like to know some more?
The video game they made a video game based on the Aliens movies where it has the same feeling. I think it actually is just called Aliens.
Probably.
And you play as a person. I think it's the granddaughter.
Ripley? Okay.
Yeah, granddaughter of Ripley, and you're.
The cloned one. It was cloned with.
Oh, stop.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I've seen bits and
But
pieces of the Aliens movies, but
Having
I'm just
seen
like, I'll walk
playthroughs,
through.
it's like it nails the atmosphere really well.
It gets you tense. It gets you tense.
Oh yeah.
No.
All right, so I'm going to throw through. I have a list of honorable mentions that I wanted because there's so many movies I've seen that I really enjoyed. Putting them all on a top 10 list was impossible. So I have a
It'd
list.
be the top 100.
I probably could load up a top 100, but anyway, because of my love for sci-fi, I'm going to throw some honorable mentions, and then we'll go to number 1, and we'll talk about a few more honorable mentions. But right now, the thinky movies for science fiction: Interstellar, Contact, and Dark City. Those were movies that I really enjoyed. And now Interstellar.
Space School.
Oh, go away. for Interstellar,
Interstellar was good until that last 10 minutes.
When it tried
Love
to be,
is quantifiable.
when it tried to be 2001.
Yeah.
Because that's what
It's
I think that's where it came off the rails.
How are you gonna fix this? And in 10 minutes, it's like, this is me from the past, future, alternate timeline.
Yeah, and then
They wrapped it up too nicely.
It did. Yeah, they could have left it a little messier, I think.
That's why the BBC. Not all movies need to be wrapped up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
That's very true.
Mm-hmm.
Many things in life are not wrapped up nicely. Why can't we have a reflection of that when we go? When
Oh,
we
I
go
know,
to it?
seriously.
But I've learned how to wrap things that are unusually Never mind.
That's only this time of year, Tanya. But yeah, I get it.
That's
We're not
Tanya,
talking about that?
Tanya channeling her inner Martha Stewart
Definitely not.
with 100% less felonies. But
definitely.
who remembers Dark City with Russell Sewell?
Can't say it.
All right, and the
Do we happen to have a cricket sound?
You know, I've noticed most of your list are all like dystopian type movies.
There must be a theme going on with him.
It's like they're all like.
Maybe he can just put himself into a dystopia and be happy.
Well,
Why?
it's definitely not a utopia.
No, the only ones that are good are like.
the only ones that go, ow.
You did say that we were going to rip you apart today.
I fully I understood that when Wayne suggested this one to me, that I was setting myself up for a verbal beating. I understood that.
You know, you pick. You know, Fifth
and that's
Element,
okay.
Which is okay, but that's kind of dystopic.
Mm-hmm.
You picked, Bicentennial Man was kind of. That's the only kind of good one.
Well, now I'm going to ask you a question in just a moment. Let me get through a couple more honorable mentions.
We did find our other intern.
We did?
Yes.
Where is she?
She was sleeping.
I didn't knock on the door hard enough.
No, so the other intern would like to be called when we're gonna
when we go into MCU.
Go when we do a different recording.
Different recording.
Yes.
Okay, we'll let her know. All right, so let me throw out a couple more. Wall-E.
Good movie.
Yes, we'll give you that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Dystopian but hopeful because, Wall-E had this irrepressible spirit. I loved that about the character. It was a lot of fun. There was nothing that really completely bummed him out. I mean, once in a while he'd be a little disappointed, but he always just picked right back up and went back to work and did his thing, And yeah, it had this big commentary on human society. Okay, great. Dystopian, whatever. But I loved that movie because of the character.
And when did that become a negative? Who doesn't just want to sit in a chair and eat cupcakes?
Yeah.
I want to, but not gain any weight.
Yeah.
Why is this a negative?
Why is this a negative? Minority Report is on my honorable mention
I think I've
list.
seen
That's
that
a
one.
good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a good one.
That's a Tom Cruise one, right?
That's a Tom Cruise
That's
one.
another Philip K. Dick one.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's
Another dystopian one.
right. Yeah. Well, I apparently
There is a general theme going on.
now-
Crime is a crime.
I have a thing. I have a
Which
thing I never
one?
knew.
Crimes.
Where is Escape from New York?
Yes.
Escape from New York is not on my list.
Oh, that's a great
Wasn't there
movie.
Escape from L.A. too?
That
there
wasn't
Yeah.
as good.
Apparently,
Yeah, no.
apparently, there's only so much dystopian I can
Nick
handle.
Plissken, I thought you were dead. That was the line running out all throughout the movie.
Contact was not really dystopian. Was it? Jodie
like I said,
Foster and
but
again
out
Matthew
of all their
McConaughey.
movies, they tend to run towards the dystopian.
Well,
Is it a reflection on life, Chris?
apparently, I guess I'm just kind of a dystopian kind of. I didn't know that about myself. So this has been
Just
a therapy
where you,
session.
like-
Soul searching.
This has been a therapy session as well as a.
We're sorry,
a
those
podcast.
that are out in listening land.
Oh,
It will
stop.
be a real dystopian list if he puts V for Vendetta on there somewhere.
I didn't. I didn't.
But I did like that one.
It was a great
It is a
movie.
great one.
It was a
Yeah,
good movie.
I mean that's.
That's probably in his
Watchmen,
top
Another
100.
dystopian.
Unfortunately, I think V for Vendetta is going to start becoming closer to being a documentary than a sci-fi movie soon.
Yeah.
Or Watchmen's gonna.
Or Watchmen.
Watchmen.
I think
Yeah.
I've seen that one too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then I put Jurassic Park on the honorable mention list.
Of course.
Jeff
Because who
Goldblum.
doesn't
John
like?
Williams.
Yeah,
Who doesn't like dinosaurs for crying out loud? Come
With their
on.
little T-Rex arms.
got to say it now. You got to say it now, Tony.
Dinosaurs on a spaceship.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, God.
And Because that's Tony's favorite Doctor Who reference.
Oh, no,
yes.
no. There's a better line from that episode, but I won't get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any vegetable matter in your trousers? Only my balls.
Hey. All right, so we
As
played.
we said, we're sorry.
That's okay. No, you didn't.
No, we're not.
No, you're not.
Never.
I am. You
No,
guys aren't.
no. The entire crew hashtag sorry not sorry today on this one. I'm getting mocked for my choice in coffee, and I'm getting mocked for my list of movies. That's all good. I set myself
Are you
up
okay
for
with
these
that?
things. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so.
More therapy?
Baby, help me, Mama. Anyway, number one.
Time Bandits. What a surprise!
Star Wars Phantom Menace. What?
The Time
I
Pirates.
thought it was Saturn 3.
Dark Running or Silent Running.
I
thought it was Waterworld.
Excellent movie.
Yeah, that was a great
Oh my
movie.
God,
That's on the
I thought it
honorable
was
mention list.
Waterworld.
The postman. The postman.
Guys, it's Magic Mike.
No.
That is
No.
sci-fi.
Yeah, it definitely sci-fi.
That is sci-fi. No, Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Planet of the Apes?
No, there you go. Which one?
Manos Hands of Fate? What?
There you
Oh
go.
my god, I love that movie. I love that movie.
All right.
But this is not Chris's top.
This is not
favorite movie.
number one. Here's the no-brainer. Star Wars. Star Wars.
Yeah, even with those couple that, especially the first, you
Yeah.
got to
You
admit the
don't
whole
count
you got to
those.
count it
The
as a
franchise.
franchise.
Got to
and
count it as a
the
franchise
as a whole.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, well, except for Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. Yeah.
Yeah, you had 5 out of the 7.
Yeah.
You'd
but
even
yeah.
go to like Rebels and Clone Wars.
Oh yeah,
first.
absolutely. I think Clone Wars and
What
Rebels
about
are excellent
Holiday
series.
Special?
Absolutely. Can anyone get that on like DVD or something? Because I'd
It
love to watch
exists
that again.
on the internet.
It does
is
exist
on the
on the
internet,
internet,
too,
yeah.
I have to watch that again.
Well, we know what the internet really is for. But anyway. But yes, my number one, Star Wars. We've talked
you a
about
second.
Star Wars. I've lived Star Wars. I've breathed Star Wars. I'm looking forward to seeing Rogue One when it comes out.
Soon.
And so that's my list. And now you've already torn it apart. I was going to invite you guys at this point to have some fun with it, but you already have.
Well, there's another huge franchise
Do you need
that's not on
tissues?
your list or on your honorable
Tell me.
mentions so far, and that would be Star Trek.
I actually
that's not on the movie list. That's
That-
on the TV series list.
But here's the thing: I do actually at the top of the honorable mentions list. I do have Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan and Star Trek.
Yeah, that one.
and,
That one.
And I'm going to move over because I'm going to get hit. I think Star Trek Beyond. I thought was
I
fantastic.
did like that one.
I
Oh,
loved
wait,
it.
which one is that
That's
one?
the
That's the
newest
latest one. The one that
Oh,
just
okay.
came out this summer.
You know, I still haven't seen that one.
Really?
Really?
Oh, we have to fix that.
We do.
We do.
I've been too
because
busy
that was
working.
I thought Star Trek Beyond of the 3 JJ verse Star Treks so far.
Beyond is the best.
Beyond is the best.
I haven't seen that one yet either.
You've
No,
got
I've
it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I really
And I-
need to
I'll
see
bring
that
my
one.
DVD in.
It
for
really
you.
does have a great feel of what people expect from when you hear Star Trek.
Except the Enterprise gets blown up again.
Again.
Well, that's
Well,
what we
that's
expect for
kind-
crying
yeah.
out loud. How many?
Every
It's
single
happened
movie.
every
they've,
movie.
How
every
many
JJ
versions
movie.
are they
Yeah.
on?
Well, they finally. Well, I can't
Was it
because it's spoiler action. But
1701 to
they've
whatever?
they've brought out the A now.
I
Because
don't
there was
understand.
nothing left of the regular one left to use.
Yeah, well, there's enough for a cup holder or 3.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Star Trek II: Wrath of Khan, I think, is probably the best of the Trek movies.
Yes.
And Star Trek Beyond, I thought was really, really well done. It's just I really enjoyed the vibe of it.
Now, would you put any of the parodies on there, like
Spaceballs?
Spaceballs with with
Oh,
those
Spaceballs! You got to talk about Spaceballs.
I actually had, this is true story, had Spaceballs taken away from me when I was 4 years old.
Because you would watch
because
nothing else.
I would used to run around the house being a little 4-year-old going, I knew it, I'm surrounded by assholes.
Perfect.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah, so we had, I
4?
had the movie taken away from us.
No, I think I was 6.
You were 6.
Of course we do, sir.
Yes. I'm surrounded
In
by.
the desert.
I ain't
Found
found
shit. This is an excellent movie.
Spaceballs, the lunchbox.
Space
Only one man would dare give me the raspberries. Lone Star.
Oh boy.
He's talking about a sequel.
He is. Well,
Yeah.
he's been talking about sequels since he first came out with the first one.
Yeah.
Well,
Spaceballs.
History of the Earth Part 2?
History
So-
of the World,
World Part 2.
There it is.
Because
Yes.
I want to see Jews in space.
That would be excellent.
So
to
did
see.
Spaceball 3, the search for Spaceballs 2.
Did
Yes.
Serenity get on that list?
I'm gonna
Hit
say
'em.
no, and that was. Let me explain real quick. Serenity is not on my list.
It shouldn't be because it's
Here's the thing, movies, standalone movies, and I know I brought in a couple of franchises, but they're movie franchises. Here's the thing, If you hand somebody a copy of Serenity who has never watched Firefly,
True.
they're going to be lost for the most
they'll
part.
have no
It'd be
idea
the
what's
same
going
thing
on.
as if you hand somebody a copy of Peacekeepers Wars.
Exactly. For
Farscape.
Farscape. Thank you.
Which I
You know,
still haven't finished.
If
Farscape.
like Billy, you've never seen Firefly, and I hand you Serenity the movie, say watch this.
Yeah, I'll have no idea.
Yeah, and I think. I mean, Serenity is an awesome movie for Firefly fans who have been in it and watch. If
But
you've
you
seen
need
the
to
show,
know about
you need
River's
to-
journey.
Exactly.
And
Frankly,
I've-
it would probably fit better in a TV TV list.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've always viewed Serenity as just them trying to wrap up the series as best as they could.
Yeah.
Because it just kind of ended like, wait, what? What's going on?
Exactly.
Well, yeah, you could thank our favorite network for that.
Fox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fox sucks.
No, that
anyway,
was a science fiction channel that had. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking
No,
of
for-
It was Fox.
It was fun.
Yeah, Farscape was a sci-fi.
on a Friday
channel.
night death slot.
yeah,
Yes.
But Farscape was like their #1 show.
yeah,
Yeah.
And they,
That was on Fox.
they killed it. No,
No,
it was on
it was on
Sci-Fi
Sci-Fi.
Channel.
I was gonna say.
They killed it because they didn't get the German
We're crossing
funding.
over a couple
Yeah, I
of
see
shows at
that.
the moment. But yeah, no, Serenity, I'm glad you guys brought it up. I actually thought about it, and it was actually number 6 in one of my original drafts of the list. And then I thought about it some more, and I made an intentional choice to say no, because on a standalone level, if you know nothing about the TV series, Serenity is an excessively confusing movie. And so I kind of like it's more of an extension of the TV series, a wonderful extension. We all love it. We can quote the hell out of that movie. And, for a Firefly fan, it's a great movie. But if you've never been exposed to it, then Serenity is going to be almost a 2-hour waste of time. I mean, it's got some great moments for a newbie, but you really have to see the show. So it's an extension of the TV show. Set it aside. We're happy to talk about it, but not going to be on the list of top 10 sci-fi movies of all time.
Can I get 2 from everybody else that isn't on Chris's list?
What did I miss? So 2, Wayne, from you start. Two movies from you that I didn't talk about.
Things to come.
Okay.
And I hate to say it, Metropolis.
That's a classic. Absolutely.
It's a
And
great movie.
that's another reason why this list was so hard to compile is you think of another
Not
movie
the
and it's
animated
like
Metropolis, the
original.
silent,
Yeah.
the Fritz Lang one.
you can even throwing that you can go The Day the Earth Stood Still.
You just like it because that's where Superman lives.
That's true too.
All right, Sybil, how about you? Two sci-fi movies I haven't talked about.
Let's see here. Well, one of them I'm actually looking at it on your memorable mention list is District 9.
District 9.
I absolutely love that movie. It is a fantastic movie. I don't know. I can't. It's like I've liked almost everything you've listed, so it's kind of hard to name a second one.
See, I tried to cover as many bases as possible.
Because you have a wide range of like different movies. And
Well, apparently
everything.
they're all dystopian though.
But I like dystopian.
District 9 is dystopian.
It is. It is dystopian. But I like dystopian movies. So I think I can only add District 9.
Cautionary tales. Actually, they're going to all become documentaries soon, so it's all good. All right, Tony, how about you? We're going to let Sybil off the hook.
Is there something strange in your neighborhood?
Yeah, you.
Who you gonna call?
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters.
Okay. And that's it broke some ground on its own, and it's hilarious because it's Bill Murray and the
Okay,
gang.
so we are specifically
Is that
talking
about
about
the
the
original?
original Ghostbusters.
Of course,
please. Okay.
of course.
You know what? I haven't seen the All Girls yet.
I
haven't
don't think
seen
I
it
ever
either.
will.
I've heard
liked
a lot.
it.
I've heard a lot of people had enjoyed it. One of our cosplay people, Amanda Jane, Undies of Wondies, that she loves that movie.
It was okay.
Was it okay? I haven't seen it yet.
It wasn't. It didn't have the same humor as the original.
Okay.
But you would chuckle if you went to see it. The biggest problem with the movie is that it's a Ghostbusters movie. If it was
It's
not a
respin of the Ghostbusters movie.
Okay.
if it wasn't a Ghostbusters movie, it would be much better and wouldn't have gotten as much hate.
Okay. Do you think people were kind of against it from the word go because they just didn't want to see it happen, or?
I think people were against it because it wasn't. They were tired of the lack of creativity.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, that's, we've hinted at already earlier this podcast how Hollywood just feels like it's out of ideas sometimes.
I think
Yeah.
it would have been more accepted if it had been like a sequel, like the next generation of Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, like,
Instead of
like
rather
how
than
it was
taking-
originally spun. It was
rather than
originally
taking the
spun
whole
as
cast
a.
and recast them in the opposite gender, and I mean that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Whether it's appropriate or not, it just rubbed people the wrong way.
It was definitely much more of like an SNL skit, and that's where and that's because a lot of the actors were SNL people.
Well, and that's the thing is Ghostbusters was an SNL product. So
It was a classic sci-fi movie, and the remake failed. Just like with Ben-Hur, this remake they just did failed because you don't take a movie like that.
I didn't even know they had done it until I saw the trailer. And
You
I was like,
don't
wait,
take
what?
a movie like that and redo it. It just
It was
doesn't
called
work.
Phantom Menace.
You're fired.
All right, Tanya.
Well, one of my favorites, which we never mentioned, starred a very young Drew Barrymore.
Firestarter?
E.T.
And
E.T.?
had little Reese's Pieces.
Okay,
So
so E.T.
Because Eminem.
You guys are making it hard for me to get to
with
it.
it.
We're taking all the good stuff away from you?
Sorry. No, because I was looking, I'm like, what have I seen? And I'm like, yes, I've seen a lot. But then just like the sci-fi and fantasy, like still the sci-fi, you can bring in like the Thor movies and stuff
Yeah.
because that's still sci-fi.
Anything MCU is technically sci-fi.
Right.
Well,
so,
E.T. is actually a part of the Star Wars franchise because E.T.'s a Jedi.
When we
yeah.
talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I got a problem with Doctor Strange.
okay, well, we'll get on to that in a different
We're gonna-
conversation.
pin
That's
that.
a different.
We're gonna talk about
We're
that.
gonna pin that.
Pin that one.
We're
Put a
talking
pin in
about
it.
that next week.
So definitely E.T. Phone Home.
E.T. phone home.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to let Brian. You got anything for the list?
Well, I'm gonna go the spoof version because I really enjoyed Galaxy Quest, and I think a lot of people.
Yes,
Good movie.
Absolutely.
Excellent movie.
Good movie.
Alan Rickman was
I
Yes.
think
Quality.
I really think Tim Allen missed
Grab Nars hammer.
he really missed a possibility when he was standing on the bridge of the Protector. He could have gone to infinity and beyond. You know, he really could have pulled that one. I think. And-
Disney would have had something to say about it.
yeah, but you know, for a fan, I can at least dream.
Toy Story. Yeah, definitely.
All right, Billy, what do you think? What have we not talked about that's on your mind?
Two that I really love, and one that I was excited to read yesterday. There's a number 3 coming out, I think, next year. Cloverfield. I really, really liked.
Okay. Now, is that more of a horror movie, though?
It's a horror movie, but it's an alien, so
Okay.
I'm throwing it in there.
I'm going to be honest. I've never seen either of the first two, but I've told they're really good.
And 10 Cloverfield Lane, the aliens don't show up till the end, and until the end, you don't know that the guy may be nuts.
Okay.
Because he's got a couple people trapped in
That's
his.
John Goodman.
Yeah.
I've heard
And
that that was a
phenomenal
great
performance.
I'm
movie.
gonna sit down and watch these soon because I've been
Yeah.
wanting to for a while, and Billy's tipping the scales on that one, so I got to see it.
10 Cloverfield Lane, and the other one, the original Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
You damn dirty apes.
Love that
You
movie.
animals.
And there's been good ones since, and there's been a bad one. Sorry, Tim Burton.
Yeah.
But I really like Planet of the Apes
That was
in
the one
general.
with Marky Mark, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one should not have been made.
And there's yet another sequel coming out focusing on Caesar the Chimp, done by
Yep.
the irrepressible. Oh God, I can't think of his name all of a sudden.
Ricardo Montalban.
No.
Andy Serkis.
Andy Serkis. Thank you, Billy. Andy Serkis.
I don't know. I like Ricardo Montalban.
Andy Serkis has become Hollywood's go-to guy for motion capture, CGI characters.
That's Gollum.
I like the new
Yeah.
reboots, but the original with Charlton Heston.
There you go.
Yes.
So
Very cool. All right.
Get your hands off me, you damn dirty ape.
There you go, Tony.
Well, definitely, I think when people are listening to this, they're going to have to send us their
Yeah, I want to
top
hear
10.
it. I want to hear what you guys
Yes.
think. What have we not talked about? So throw some comments
there's
our way.
probably
There's lots
about
of
a million
franchises out
more.
there that we didn't mention.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we can go as cheesy as Wing Commander with Freddie Prinze.
What?
Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh,
I knew there was one movie. I didn't know there was more than one movie.
Yeah,
no,
there was a
even
couple of them.
Jumping into the next one would be jumping into TV shows. Do you guys remember Space Above and Beyond?
Oh yeah.
They had no they had no military advisors on that.
No, they didn't. It
I
was
don't
so.
think they had a budget.
And we haven't even talked about fantasy stuff.
No, well, see, that's
That's a whole.
That's a
another-
whole other
I
subject.
got the whole series of Wizards and Warriors on DVD.
Yeah.
That was
And so that's going to be a future
Bad show.
podcast. It'll be.
Oh, yeah.
We'll do the same thing.
The
I'll
Dungeons
come up
and
with.
Dragons TV show.
No. No.
Meh.
Dark Dungeons. Anyone?
I
And the
will tell
Dungeon
you this
Master?
right now. When we do the top 10 fantasy
Ranger.
movies of all time, in my opinion, Dungeons and Dragons will not be on the list.
Oh, come on.
Which one?
Okay.
The one with the Wyan's brother in it.
Oh, the first one.
Yeah, the
Was
first
it
one.
First one, yeah.
A Dungeon's Tale?
No, it was
Siege?
Dungeons and Dragons was the name of the movie.
That's based on game.
And anything, and then we might have a whole podcast where we talk about how bad Yui Bowl is. But anyway,
How about the movie done exclusively just to bash Dungeons and Dragons? Dark Dungeons, I think it was called.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't even.
Where'd you go, Chris?
No,
He's so angry he
Chris
walked
has
out
left
the
building.
Yeah,
There's lots of therapy for
we
Chris.
made way too much fun of the movies.
all right. So we're going to get ready to wrap this one up for now.
Because we've really gone off to the races.
No, we really haven't. I think we've stuck to the point. But anyway, like Tanya was saying, if you're listening, you're thinking, well, they didn't talk about this movie. They didn't talk about this movie. They didn't talk about this movie.
Like Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
The original one was
the original
1956.
Yes.
I even like the remake.
And zombie movies technically count as sci-fi movies. I think
World War Z, things like that.
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not?
The Terminator.
Yes, I see that right
yeah.
now. The Terminator.
RoboCop.
I'll be back.
I'll be back. I'll be
RoboCop.
Mozart.
That was another
RoboCop.
series I was
There we
thinking
go.
of, too. Yeah.
Beautiful. All right, so we're going to go ahead. We'll wrap this
The
one up,
Matrix.
Billy. The Matrix.
Oh,
we can
yeah.
talk about. And this has been Monkey Business, a Mighty Monkey production. Mighty Monkey Productions of Rochester, New York, creators and presenters of the Flower City Comic-Con, presenting their second show, May 20th and 21st of 2017 at the Rochester Riverside Convention Center. Follow us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/FC3ROC. And remember to like our page.
What about the fly?
The fly. Oh.
Help me. There's a lot of help for you.
Oh, no, I don't think so at this point.
It all started when I was born.
It all started when you brought him the French vanilla.
Stop with that. I'm being made fun of for my choice in coffee.